Good evening, everybody, and welcome out to Wild Wing Cafe out by the university here in Charlotte for this second edition of the Allen Major Show this year. And our phone number is 704-332-0173. I want to welcome everybody here on ESPN 730. Also, all viewers, as tonight is the first night we're going live on TV 22 in Charlotte, Time Warner Cable, the Niner channel, so we're excited about that as well. Of course, I want to welcome in head coach Allen Major and Landy Ford from ESPN 730. Coach coming off a win in the opener last week against Charleston Southern, and always great to get off with a win. And Charleston Southern last night went out to Arizona and gave the Wildcats a scare, so it made our win look even better.
Yeah, anytime you're fortunate enough to get a win, you want the team to go undefeated the rest of the way if they can.
Sure.
But no, it was good to get one at home, and they came out guns blazing like we expected. Had an experienced team and had a bunch of guys back from a team that was a game away from the tournament last year. So, but no, guys did a good job of just kind of getting our feet under us and got a little traction on defense. And second half, we're able to pull away and get a good cushion. Didn't finish the game how we'd like, but it was a good lesson for us on how to finish. They threw a couple of things at us, and we got a little out of sorts with our press break, but all correctable stuff and good to learn from.
Our special player guest coming up later on tonight is Terrence Williams, sophomore guard from here in Charlotte out of West Mac. And he had a breakout game for you in his first game in his second season, Coach. Career highs in points with 19 and rebounds with 10. Gave you that double-double. Mm-hmm. You'd love to see that every night, of course, but that's really a great jump from him from the first year as a freshman to what he did to really help you guys, especially in the second half.
Yeah, T probably had from the end of our St. Joe's game in the spring till the other night, the most consistent stretch between the spring workouts, the summer, the Bahamas prep. Did a really terrific job of just being an everyday guy, which is what we're trying to build. And so, you kind of saw some of that work pay off the other night. And the good thing about that is, we have the type of team, I believe, that could be anywhere from 4 to 5 different guys that could have a night like that. And as you try to build your crew, as long as guys stay unselfish and share the basketball, that could be a multitude of guys at any given time.
A couple of things, Coach. We talked about it in the post-game show after the game, that we noticed some categories that last year didn't happen a whole lot, which were points in the paint, points off turnovers, points on fast break. Some of the categories that shows a much more up-tempo and a bigger lineup in there.
Yeah.
Talk a little about how much difference that's going to make this year.
Yeah, I think we could have a group that could play, 9 guys at least. And, when you're able to run guys in and out of the game, what you hope is that helps your team keep its defensive intensity level up, and you don't have those drop-offs of, playing hard for a stretch and then giving up a bunch of points for a stretch. So the plan is that'll keep us consistent throughout the game defensively. And then if you can get stops, it's a lot easier to run off of a miss or a turnover from your defense. But then also offensively, if you're running a little bit, you got to be fresh, if you want to be deep, you have to be fresh, and vice versa.
I think your sophomores, this year's sophomores, last year's freshmen that started, like Terrence and Perrier and E. Victor, those guys have really matured this year, but you also got to be pleased with some of the freshmen that came in with Clark and Clayton and some of the things that they were able to do in that first game.
Really was. They come in and shown tremendous energy. As a matter of fact, Terrence had a dive in the first half, I think, where the ball was kind of rolling down there in front of their bench. We ended up not coming up with it, but just the effort to lay out and try to get the ball, and then a couple plays later, Willie lays out for a loose ball. 2 plays later after that, Darian saves a ball flying out of bounds and ends up in the stands. So from a standard standpoint of when you're in the game, there's a level of how hard you should play no matter what the time score situation is. That's the tone that we're trying to set.
Coach, the Bojangles game break brought to us by Bojangles famous chicken and biscuits. It's bow time. I go back to the first half. You were down 15-6, went on the 14-0 run, and that's where you kind of had that separation that built up some lead going into halftime.
Yeah, we had to call time out there, and it was. I wasn't surprised to see maybe our reaction a little bit, because when you have some youth, that's what happens. And once they jumped out 11-4, we had about 3 or 4 plays where different guys felt that they had to score a 7-point basket.
to put you back in.
Yeah. Which until they create one, I don't know where that's coming from. So it's, you know, as far as I know, it's either stopping 2 points, stopping 3 points, and that's how you get back in it. But so guys got a little bit, you know, trigger happy and felt like, hey, I want to be the one to get us going, that's, you know, admirable to feel that way. But one of the mottos we're trying to develop on our team is the, you know, the go-to guy is the open man. And, you know, as we have more balance and if we develop scoring balance, you'd like to have a team where you don't have one guy lead you in scoring every single night, and that's the same guy. So this could be a year where I think we had more guys chipping in, and that could be a good thing.
Our phone number is 704-332-0173 here at Wild Wing Cafe University, the Alan Major Show with Niner head coach Alan Major. Coach, when you look at the Charleston Southern game and the outcome, to get that first win, the opening night under your belt, moving forward, you know, it's always great for step one. Now you've got the next game coming up, which is Georgia Southern, a stretch of 3 games at home before you hit the road for the first time, which, by the way, is next Monday. We won't have a show here next Monday because we'll be traveling to Alaska. And I did check the temperature today, by the way, 19 degrees. Thank you very much. That's going to be – I've never been to Alaska, though, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, the wife, get your mittens ready, man. Get your mittens ready.
But yeah, stretch of 3 games now. Number 2 coming up with Georgia Southern tomorrow night. We played at 6 o'clock last Friday, 9 o'clock tomorrow night. So talk about the adjustments in that aspect.
Yeah.
It's going to be nationally televised on the NBC Sports Network, which is why the 9 o'clock tip.
Correct.
But talk about the difference in the adjustments because you guys have been practicing early in the morning.
Yeah, it'll be a long game day. You know, our shoot-around will be in the morning. That's kind of our time block. But, you know, we went fairly hard today, knowing full well that you almost have a full day before you play, you know, even more than a full day before you play. So, you know, guys will get a chance to get off their feet after class. You know, meal won't be till 5 o'clock. So, and, you know, it's actually, I like it because you go from 6 o'clock, then you go to 9 o'clock, and then, you know, who knows in Alaska. I think that's a 4-hour time difference. So I think it'll be 11:30 our time Thanksgiving night. When we tip off, it'll be 7:30 out there if I'm not mistaken. So
it's 12.
12.
It's midnight. Bobby's already reminded
right.
me. It's midnight.
So, but
You're
you know what?
Extra, right?
Huh? Nah.
If you want to have a chance of being a team that's playing in March, I mean, you know, that's the same thing. I mean, you know, you don't know when you're playing.
Sure.
If you have an opportunity to play in March, so you want to have that issue, but at the same time, you like to be prepped for it as well.
Now you're taking on Georgia Southern. They played on the road in their opener against Valparaiso, a good Bryce Drew coach team, and they had a tough night that night. What do you expect out of the Eagles, though?
I tell you, they're going to come out of the chutes hard, I would imagine, because I know, you know, Charlton Young very well, and that is not a typical Georgia Southern performance. I think, you know, sometimes you go on the road and you know, things get thrown at you, maybe a couple things you don't see coming, and depending on your situation, you know, and your roster and, you know, who responds. But I think those guys are going to come out hard. They like to press. They're a physical team defensively, really like to get up and into you, you know, pressure, deny, and, you know, take away passing lanes, and just not let you have what you want. So being strong with the basketball, the theme has kind of been just, you know, run, pass, and catch. So, you know, being able to get open, move the ball, not turn it over will be important for tomorrow night.
This early in the season, you kind of start out with about a 7-8 man rotation initially, and they were just throwing lots of bodies in there.
Mm-hmm.
How was it? How did you feel about the way your guys were able to keep the tempo up? I kept looking for them to signal to come out, but they stayed in there.
Yeah.
And then you would make a sub about less than a minute before the media timeout to kind of get the little break in there.
Exactly.
But it seemed like their effort was good throughout.
Yeah.
This early in the season.
We've had some guys dinged up a little bit in practice. So what's happened is if you're a guard on our team right now, you're out there the whole time in practice. You know, because DeMario has played some backup point at times. Well, he's been nicked up. So, you know, Denzel and Perrier, one guy on the white team, one guy on the green team. I mean, you're out there for the whole sometimes 2-hour practice. So, in a sense, that's a blessing in disguise. I mean, you know, they're usually pretty exhausted by the time you get up to right before a game. But come game night, you know you're not out there as long, so those little 4-minute stretches aren't as bad. So hopefully that'll be something that pays off from a physical standpoint and help us.
one of the areas coming into the season that you knew there was going to be some question was, outside shooting. You didn't have Javaris Barnett anymore. You were able to get Colby Lewis in the game a little bit, and he hit a big three in the second half. Now you are playing without three guys that are going to be playing more regularly as you get going into the rotation.
Yeah.
But you envision the way Colby can come in and hit a shot like that to maybe stretch the defense out if they are packing it down a little bit, a guy that can come in and play that role a little bit this year?
Absolutely. Yeah, it might be Ivan tomorrow night. I think for a guy like Ivan, he did an unbelievable job supporting Colby. And if you look at both those guys, they almost have similar roles. They're both, catch and shoot guys that can make open shots. And Ivan's going to be a terrific player, I believe, for us. And right now, Colby, just from an experience standpoint, was a little bit more ready to play, at this stage of the year. But, Ivan's not far behind him. So those guys do a good job pushing each other each day. And having a guy that can step in there and knock them in from time to time definitely helps. And we may not shoot a ton of threes, but I'd still like to be a team that, when you're wide open, that you're capable enough to knock them in.
Well, coming up in the next segment, we're going to step away from basketball for a little bit and talk some soccer because there are a lot of exciting things going on again for the 49ers this time of year as the men's soccer team just a little while ago tonight found out that they'll be playing in a game coming up later this week against UAB in the first round of the NCAA soccer tournament. And we're going to talk to Coach Kevin Langen in a moment. But last year when they made it run all the way to the Final Four in the championship game, the basketball team was one of their biggest supporters. I know you guys are excited about this again.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I got a chance to be out there, and I know a ton of students went down to Birmingham, for the championship. But I was able to sit at home and watch it in my living room. But hopefully, being on the show again this year will give them a little bit of good luck. We hope, a little mojo. But no, it's just fun. I mean, it's fun watching those guys. What's funny is that I heard people talk about our guys playing against Carolina last year. And they talked about the way that we started the fight. We talk about in basketball, you land the first blow, right from the jump ball. And I remember watching that game at home, and there were more, sky blue jerseys getting up off the ground in that first period than there were green ones. And they just set an unbelievable tone. I mean, they came out and knocked those guys around. So that's fun. I mean, whenever a chance to our team or other teams in the department get a chance to jump on and go along for the ride like this, it's fun.
Well, Coach, the game is Thursday against UAB, and that's going to be coming up this week on campus here at UNC Charlotte. We're going to talk to Coach Langen in a moment. Have you step aside for a minute, come back, we'll talk more basketball a little bit later on. The Allen Major Show continues here from the Wild Wing Cafe by the University from IMG College. Welcome back to the Allen Major Show here at Wild Wing Cafe off of Mallet Creek Church Road on ESPN 730. Our phone number is 704-332-0173. Normally we would not take any phone calls during this time, but I'm thinking that if there is a question or two from our fans because there is so much interest now in the Niners soccer program, please feel free to give Coach Langen a call here, 704-332-0173. And I want to welcome in Kevin Langen, head coach of the Niners soccer team, and congratulations on yet another great season, Coach.
Thank you, yep.
Now, you found out earlier today, I guess it was about 5:30 this afternoon with the selection show coming out, that you guys are going to be going back to the NCAA tournament and taking on UAB at home on this Thursday night. So it's great to get that home game. I know you wanted to bye, but you get that home game, and that's a great way to start the tournament.
Yes, a fantastic way. We know UAB very well. We've played them 3 times now in the last 4 years. Last year we played them in the second round down there. And we've always had real close battles with them, real tight games. We played them earlier on this season and tied 1-1. They took an early lead, and we managed to tie it up moving late in the game. So it's always going to be a great game between us two teams. They're a big, strong, athletic, direct team. So we're very excited for Thursday, and hoping that the home field advantage and all our fans will really help push us over the line.
I know coaches never want to talk about the next opponent, but for the fans that maybe hadn't heard yet, if you do, when they do take on the number 3 seed, Georgetown Hoyas in the second round. But there's still, of course, work to be done to get to that point. And you mentioned you've played UAB before. You've played them a lot recently.
Right.
As you go into a game like this, is that better to really have a more familiarity against your opponent?
In one way it can be that we know them very well, but I guess they also know us pretty well as well. So there'll be no surprises. We both know each other inside out. And I guess it's the team that executes its game plan that takes care of the other team's strengths and then plays to your strengths as well. Will be the team that comes out on top. So I'll tell you on Friday if it was an advantage or not.
Tell us about the strength of the Atlantic 10 Conference. 4 teams will be in the field of 48.
Yeah, it's incredible this year. 4 teams, starting with St. Louis, who had a phenomenal year. They won the championship yesterday on our field. They're going in an RPI number 6, and they got an automatic bye in the first round, And then VCU, who knocked us out in the semi-finals, they're also getting a bye in the first round. And then us and Xavier will be playing on Thursday night. So this is the strongest that the A10's been in terms of men's soccer since I've been here. And it's great, it's phenomenal. When you have a conference that's doing well, and us 4 teams are doing fantastic, plus Dayton, plus Fordham, then you really get those RPI points as you play each other and battle it out. All the teams move up the RPI. So this year's been fantastic and a really strong conference in men's soccer.
When I hear people talk about your team, 2 things come out, leadership and really togetherness. How much was that a factor building off of the championship run last year, getting to the finals? Because a lot of times, you do something like that and there's a little bit of complacency that could kind of stick in there. But with your guys, you came in totally dedicated to get back not only to the finals, but probably trying to win the whole thing this year.
Yes, well, we had a great taste of it last year, and that served as great motivation for the players. And we're a very hard-working, blue-collar team. We pride ourselves on our fitness and our togetherness. And we don't, the star of the team is what we say. So every one of us has to put in a great shift. And with that, there's no egos. Everyone's humble. And you can see, if you come out and watch us train, the competitiveness, the fight in every session. And we managed to take that into every game this year. But, complacency, we never talk about it at all. It was just get back to work. You have a challenge in front of you. We're all pushing the right direction. So it's a great team effort when we play. And everyone, the sum of the part, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. We all push together, do our job, and do the person next to us half of their job as well. So it's a great togetherness in the team. It's a fantastic locker room. There's a great culture. There's great humour in there, and the guys really enjoy being a part of it. So
I think a lot of it shows. Of course, you became the new head coach this year. You have been a part of the program, but it's fairly obvious in what's happened in the season from last year how well this team has stuck together and everything. It really hasn't missed a beat having a change, and I guess that goes to the cohesiveness of the unit itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jeremy did a phenomenal job when he came to the program. It had been down for a few years, and he put in place a wonderful culture, a great locker room. He recruited some fantastic players. We have 5 seniors who'll be graduating this year, and we'd have made the tournament, national tournament, 3 out of their 4 years, whereas we hadn't made the tournament for 16 years before that. So he brought in some wonderful players. It's a great culture in there, and it was quite a smooth transition, to be honest. I just picked up a box and moved to the office next door, and we just carried on the great work Jeremy had done. We knew the direction we wanted to go, and any changes that I wanted to bring in, it wasn't broken, so I didn't want to come in and make sweeping changes. It was just tiny little tweaks to the way we play here, a little bit tweaking how we train, intensity and stuff like that. So it's been a real smooth transition, and also when you're associate head coach or assistant coach, you have a real strong rapport with your players. Probably almost more than when you're the head coach, because you get to be in there a bit more with them, and as a head coach you take a step back. So I knew all the players very well, had a great relationship with every single one of them. So it was a great transition for us. We just kept moving in the same direction.
And another thing, like with any program, winning breeds winning. I mean, once you get that mindset, when a program is down, a lot of times it's hard for them to cross that hump and get into the winning side. But once you get there, they understand what it is. They want to keep it.
Well, I think this time last year we were very excited to be back in the tournament, and it was all unknown, it was new, it was all nervous energy. Now we're looking every opponent squarely in the eye, and we know, based on the last 3 years, that we can beat any opponent on any field on any given day.
And to truly deserve to be there.
Yes, absolutely. And last year it was a surprise to lots of people on the outside, but to us it wasn't. We had taken Chapel Hill in the exhibition game. We were 2-1 in a great game. We had beaten Wake Forest the year before when they had the great run. So we were beating these so-called top teams. And what's great is now when people talk about college soccer, then Charlotte gets mentioned now as one of the national powers.
That's
so
excellent.
It's fantastic.
When you guys got together earlier tonight, we're talking with Kevin Lankin, the Niners soccer head coach, and got together as a team for the selection show. You had some of the former players come back too. Evan James and a couple others were with you guys. That has to be great to get former players to come back and want to participate in the current success as well.
Yes, absolutely, and they just enjoy being around. They come out sometimes, bring their boots and come and train. Evan just finished up with the MLS, Montreal Impact, so he's back. He'll be graduating in December, so he wanted to come down and train, and wanted to share the moment with the new guys. Charles Rodriguez was also in there. He just finished a great season in the USL League, professional league, with the Wilmington Hammerheads. So I think that just speaks to the great friendships and great rapport they have with the current guys as well. And Charles still lives with a few of the guys on the team as he's finishing up his studies. So.
Donnie Smith had a very good year for you, A-10 midfielder of the year in the conference, as well as some other guys that are up for some awards come this postseason. It's not an individual sport; it's a definite team sport. But you have some guys that are standing out in those certain areas.
Sure, Donnie had a fantastic season. He scored some great game-winning goals for us. He gives us that great drive from midfield, and rightly so. He was noticed by the coaches in the conference and won that award. Defensively, Thomas Allen's had another great year. And looking forward, Jennings and Giuseppe are both leading the goal-scoring way. So we've had some big contributions for some main players, but it's everyone. It's all 11 players, all 27 in the roster pushing every day. So.
You guys have had a flair for the dramatic in these final second wins over the last couple of years. It hasn't affected you. You're not much gray in your hair.
I don't know, because I'm covering it with the mic. But no, we won a lot of games late on, and that's no coincidence, because we're the team pushing, we're on the front foot. Like I said earlier, we really pride ourselves on the conditioning of the players. So we find that in top-level soccer, most games are scored either at the beginning of halves due to lack of concentration or a bit of surprise, but more are scored at the end of halves, due to fatigue. So if you can be the team that's less fatigued and fitter and stronger, then you're the team that's going to score more goals late on.
Coach, thank you so much for coming by tonight. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And best of luck on Thursday.
Thank you very much.
Thursday night on campus, they're going to take on UAB in the first round of the NCAA soccer tournament. And again, congratulations to the soccer team and head coach Kevin Langen joining us here tonight on the Alan Major Show. We'll come back, talk more basketball in a moment with Coach Major. This is the Alan Major Show from IMG College. Welcome back to the Alan Major Show here at Wild Wing Cafe University off Mallard Creek Church Road. Alongside Lanny Ford and Niner head coach Alan Major, I'm Matt Swarad, and going to change things up a little bit and move up a segment. Our special guest, Terrence Williams, is our guest here tonight, and Niner guard, sophomore from West Mac High School here in Charlotte, had a terrific game in his first game of the season against Charleston Southern last Friday night with a double-double, a career-high 19 points and 10 rebounds in that ball game. And our special interview segment here brought to us by Ortho Carolina, the official team physicians of the Charlotte 49ers. And Terrence, thank you so much for stopping by here tonight and taking some time to be with us. And you guys had a great game on Friday night. It's, a couple days since then now. What has it been like as you've gone back and thought about how that game kind of played out for you guys and the way you're able to hold off Charleston Southern making those runs in the second half?
Basically, we just try to keep our edge during bad times during the game. We had got down 13-2, I believe. Yeah, we had got a timeout. Only thing we did was talk to each other, tell each other to pick it up, and let's go now since we got the jitters out. And we just played our game from then on, and things went well from there.
Now, for you, it's your second season, so, what did you take from your freshman year and kind of take it into the summertime and now into your sophomore season? What are some of the things you worked on and what you really felt like you learned from last year?
I learned, when I drive the lane, play off 2 feet, because I usually get a turnover or lose the ball or something. And I just got stronger. So, when I do go to the hole, I can finish through contact. So, and get to the free throw line and make free throws.
One of the things I noticed from last year to this year is not just you, but Perrier, E. Victor, some of the other guys that were freshmen last year. You've kind of got that freshman year behind you, and you're playing with a whole new level of confidence. You go out there and can play a little bit more relaxed. Last year there were times when you maybe had a shot or had a drive, but you didn't have enough confidence to go do it. But now that seems to be there. You see the open shot, you see what you need to do, and can execute on it.
That comes from us during the summer. We all go in the gym and just work out all day, play each other one-on-one. We'll play a game of 21. You can't score unless you shoot a 3, or we'll play a game you can't score unless you get all layups, something like that. And it just made us better as individuals, playing against each other, making us tough.
When Coach talks about the toughness you guys go through in practice and how it's just a battle for a couple of hours, what is that like? I mean, there's a competitiveness against you guys, of course, but it's also a learning process. So Take us to a normal practice and what it's like for you guys, especially early in the morning.
Yeah, in the mornings we'll be kind of rusty a little bit, so it take us a drill or two to get going. But once we get going, we get competitive with each other, talking, talking trash to each other, making each other mad, basically just fueling each other to do better and work hard and practice, make each other better.
So who's the morning person on this team that drives everybody crazy at 7:30?
I would say Coach Vandross.
Can't even nominate a player, or no players are ready to go at that time of day.
Yeah, I'll say Willie. He just comes in there talking, just talk a lot, get everybody motivated, ready for practice. He just comes up to you, just start talking to you about anything, and then once practice get going, he just start yelling and doing all kinds of other stuff.
So he's moving at 100 miles an hour all the time.
all the time, 100 miles per hour.
That's what you want, is that motor that don't quit.
Yes, sir.
Terrence Williams is our guest, Charlotte sophomore guard. Hey, Terrence, when you look at this team and you can't, not to compare it to last year, but maybe some of the differences that you're seeing that you really like right now on this team.
Everybody's playing defense now. It's like once somebody gets beat, we know we got the next man right there to help us. So once we get beat, we ain't got to worry about the person driving to the lane, getting a layup, or driving to the lane, getting an easy shot or anything. And you just adjust out of that.
We talked about it during the game where you guys, I thought you played 40 minutes of really hard, intense defense the entire game. Is that something you guys talked about after the game, how you really gave it a 40-minute effort?
Oh, yeah, of course. That's all we really talked about after the game is how we played defense, how we kept a team to such and such percent. We blocked out, got rebounds, held them to one shot, and just played hard.
Tell us about next week, and I'll let you jump ahead a little bit because we've got a pretty long trip. I've never been to Alaska. You guys looking forward to this trip to go out there on Thanksgiving and play in the Great Alaskan Shootout? It's going to be cold, but that's all right.
Yeah, I think we're all looking forward to it, but I don't think none of us want to be in the cold that much.
So now I've heard, I'm not sure if we can actually do this, but there's an opportunity maybe to go out and kind of do the dog sled racing stuff and maybe go see some glaciers. You in for that?
I'll try it. I know I'm going to be cold, but I'll probably try it.
You got Georgia Southern coming up tomorrow night. As you guys are prepared for this game tomorrow night, what are some of the things you got to kind of key on and hopefully execute to get a win tomorrow night?
Just stop they penetrate and drives. They like to penetrate the lane a lot, kick out to the open man. One thing I do is stop the ball, stop them from getting in the lane, and we'll be good. Finally,
again, you're playing here at home in Charlotte. Family gets to come out and watch you. That has to make you feel pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it makes me feel real good. Sometimes I don't have enough tickets, so it's all right. I just tell them they have to buy one, but they all come and support me. It would just be a big fan base for me. Just keep me level.
Terrence, thanks so much for coming by tonight. Congratulations on the game on Friday. Good luck tomorrow night. And we won't let you stay outside too long in Alaska next week.
All right.
Terrence Williams has been our guest on the Alan Major Show, brought to us by Ortho Carolina. We'll come back with Niner head coach Alan Major. The phone number 704-332-0173. You're listening to Niner basketball from IMG College. Welcome back to the Alan Major Show here from Wyoming Cafe University. Alongside Landy Ford, I'm Matt Swarat here on ESPN 730. And joined by Niner head coach Alan Major. Our phone number 704-332-0173. 704-332-0173. So, Coach, we're down to get some last-minute soccer instruction from Coach Langen. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, no, I was just trying to get a feel for the game there.
Good luck with that.
You know, it was funny. We were talking about. I love talking to coaches from other sports because there's always common threads, and we're talking about. I was telling you, Terrence is the kind of a guy that just has a nose for the basketball, and I said I didn't know how that translates. With soccer, is that a midfielder? Whatever it is, and he said they call it a fox in the box in soccer. So we might rename T our resident fox in the box on the basketball court. But T's a great kid. He's maturing, especially off the court. If he'd have come in and done this interview his freshman year, and you may have gotten 3 words out of him, you guys would have been doing all the work.
He got the experience after the game Friday night. That was
right.
Because you had to pull a little bit out of him.
Right. No, but he's come a long way. If the 20-minute conversations in the office are now, 11 minutes coach, 9 Terrence. His freshman year was 17 minutes coach, 3 Terrence. But that's what we're in the business of. I mean, as bad as we all want to win every single game, you're in the business of growing guys into becoming young men. And, our job is by the time they leave Charlotte that they can take care of themselves. And we have a hand in that. And, what an honor to have a hand in the most really developmental part of guys' lives. You're talking about 18 to 22 or 23. You can take any 4 years of your life. There's nothing like those 4 years. So we have a chance to have a hand in that every single day. So that's a blast.
We talked last season with all the new young players last year about some guys that had really high ceilings, and Terrence is one of those players, and even Mike Thorne and the work that he put in the weight room. And we touched on it last year how Mike didn't even know how to lift a weight. It was something that had to be taught to him before.
He did.
They didn't want him to hurt himself in the weight room. And
right.
And to see the way he's kind of changed his body in just the span of, 8-9 months.
Yeah.
And, just being a redshirt freshman, the first one now 4 years for him. And
right.
Terrence now 1 of 3 to go. And what Victor's done. You got to be excited about this young group.
Yeah.
Of course, you want to win now, but this team is built right now to continue getting better, to be a nice little group of players.
Absolutely. No, the thing I love about them, even today, Terrence was in the office today watching film. Ivan Bankovic was in the office today watching film. Darian Clark was in the office today watching film. So, guys have a hunger. Victor was looking for Coach Vandross. He had his door closed. So he said, I'm going to go take a nap. I'll catch him later. But he had the intent, like, hey, I want to watch practice this morning. And so I love the fact that there's a hunger to get better, just on a daily basis because, if you want to be good, the best players take an active role in their own development. They don't let their development come to them. You go out and seek it and you hunt it and you search it. And that's what's fun about these guys. They come around and there's always somebody. Willie Clayton, I almost forgot, was in watching film today. So it's just neat to see these guys coming in and trying to embrace their improvement.
704-332-0173 is our phone number. We're here at Wild Wing Cafe on Mallard Creek Church Road if you're in the area. Coach, you mentioned Ivan Bankovic. He did play a little bit in the Pfeiffer exhibition game, got himself in a little bit of foul trouble, but didn't see any action against Charleston Southern. Tell us, for the folks that haven't seen him yet, what kind of player he is and how you envision him playing in your system.
Yeah, he's just a guy that's a deadly knockdown shooter. And Ivan is doing it's almost eerie because when I was at Ohio State, John Diebler, I don't know if you guys remember him, about 6'5", 6'6", could catch and shoot. Very similar frame. And John came in with almost an identical mentality of, almost limiting himself, feeling like I'm a shooter. And sometimes when you're a shooter, you feel like that's the only way that you can impact the game. And Ivan has his moments where he feels that way. And that's not a bad thing. That's just what he's used to. And what he's transforming slowly into is I'm a basketball player who can really, really shoot as opposed to just a shooter. Because when you just say I'm just a shooter, you're walling off 90% of a bunch of other things that you can do on the basketball court. So, and we threw Colby out there just being a senior, and Colby's had game time minutes before. So, but Ivan's going to be in the mix, before long. He really will. And I told him, I said, look, we're excited about you now, but we're even more excited about what you're going to become because our whole staff has coached guys like you and seen the strides they've made. And the other thing that Ivan's learning is bringing the energy that the college game requires because usually you come in and it's like driving 45 on the freeway. If you're not at least going 65, you're going to have a tough time out there. So Ivan's slowly learning to drive 65 in the 65 zone.
Yeah, one of the things, Terrence touched on it a little bit, that's got to make your job and the other coaches' jobs easier is when you've got players that want to push each other so that it's not always coming from you.
Yeah.
because you can't be there on the court in their ear.
Right.
And so when you've got these guys, when they make a mistake or do something right or wrong, you've got other guys that are sitting there picking you up
Yeah.
and pushing you to go further.
Great point. No, I think one of the things I really try to watch when we play is the nature of our huddles on the court. If huddles are slow to form, that probably means we're a little bit on our heels and we're thinking too much, or there's a little bit something mental cobwebs going on. But regardless of what happens, good play, bad play, if the huddles are quick to form, then that means that now that we're on the same page that much faster, and now they're ready to get to the next play that much faster. So that's a big one, and we try to make every drill and practice as much as we can competitive as well. So that way there's never this relaxing, here's just another practice. No, you got to compete and maintain the standard that we're trying to develop.
Tell us about J.T. Thompson and his status, and if we might see him tomorrow night.
We've been going day to day. He did some light stuff today, not a ton of contact, just trying to really be smart with it. I think, I've told JT that let's make sure that we're really smart about this. I said, I know it's been 2 years since you've gotten game time in college basketball, but I said I want to make sure that you can still bounce your kids on your knee in a few years after you get done playing basketball as well. So this is about a lifetime deal, and I don't want to just throw you out there just because we want you in the mix in a hurry. So he could very well give it a shot tomorrow. A big part of it is how he feels in the morning. We go through shoot around. He'll get some treatment during the day, and we'll make it a game time decision.
We'll take a break here from Wild Wing Cafe University, the Allen Major Show from IMG College. Welcome back to the Allen Major Show here at Wild Wing Cafe off of Mallet Creek Church Road. Our phone number is 704-332-0173. The Niners are back in action tomorrow as they take on Georgia Southern. Game time is 9 o'clock. So if you haven't heard yet, the time of the game has changed from 7:30 to 9 o'clock tomorrow because it's being televised by the NBC Sports Network. So come on out tomorrow. Join us at the pregame show at 8:30, and we'll tip it off just after 9 o'clock from Halton Arena. Tickets are available by calling 704-687-4949 or going to charlotte49ers.com. And while I'm thinking about it, tickets are available, too, for the soccer NCAA tournament match coming up on Thursday night at home against UAB. Ticket price is $7 for adults, $3 for youth. That's coming up this Thursday. And, again, go to charlotte49ers.com for more information on that. Well, Coach, game time tomorrow again is 9 o'clock at Georgia Southern coming in. What other changes can we expect to see tomorrow night? We talked about J.T. Thompson. Is this also maybe the first game that Chris Braswell plays?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll work him into the mix. He had a broken foot, if most of you guys know, in the summer, and he's actually recovered from it pretty well. It's a fifth metatarsal, which if that's your outside of your foot right there, it's a common basketball injury because so much stress is put in that area. But he's recovered really well, so he'll be back in the mix. DeMario still got a little bit of time left in terms of that ankle. He had a high sprain, and if you've ever known anyone or had one yourself, high sprains take some time as opposed to just a typical sprain. So day by day with him. Hopefully be ready for Lamar. If not Lamar, then we'll throw him into the mix in Alaska. But the good thing is, numbers-wise, we've had enough bodies that we can throw out there in the meantime where it hasn't really compromised us at all in terms of the bench. So, and really, with the young guys that have had to be thrown out there to the wolves, so to speak, in a hurry, probably the best thing for them because that's the one thing that freshmen, of all the things you can give them film, you can give them extra shooting, you can give them, obviously practice coaching, you can give them all that. The one thing you can't give them is experience. Only the game can give them that. And so if I could, put them in a time machine and maybe fast forward them to February and then let them know what they'll know in February now, that's kind of what you're trying to do. But until then, the best way they can learn is just clock time. And so, but the circumstances we've had with guys banged up and all that, I mean, it's been a blessing in disguise, to be quite honest. I couldn't be more excited about it because it's forced their hand to grow.
As you do get two big guys back again, how does it maybe change your rotation as you were able to get players like Willie Clayton and Darion Clark a lot of time on the floor, and Mike Thorne played 15 minutes the other night.
Yeah.
The style you want to play, the more the better.
Right.
The more guys to run in there. But how does it change maybe what you've done so far with the exhibition game in Charleston Southern?
Yeah, I think when you have options like that, you almost every game's going to take a face of its own. And I wish, my crystal ball was, the batteries were charged up and I could figure out, all right, when we go to Alaska game 1, here's the rotation with the guards and bigs. And then game 2, here's our rotation, and that's the part that we have to figure out. But it's a good problem to have, to know that you've got multiple bodies. That way, if you do have an injury, you have foul trouble, you have a rolled ankle, a guy misses 2 games or a nick up or something, you've got enough bodies there, both I think on the perimeter and inside, to maintain. Most typical rotations are 8 in college basketball. Thad Matta would play 7. And sometimes I would be, as an assistant, you're trying to get you're trying to get 8, 9, 10, 11, just to keep them going every day, because they know those 7 guys are going to be out there. So that was a challenge, but
so
yeah.
As you have your other hat now as the head coach, John, what do you feel is a good rotation for you?
I like 9. I don't know why that number 6 in my head. I like 9. Because when you play 8, then you have a sub for each position. Point guard sub, a wing sub, and a big sub. So there's your 6, 7, 8. And then that 9th, depending on his versatility, can get him where he fits in, especially if he's versatile, can play a combo forward position or whatnot. And then that 10th is either a lot of times another big or another guard, depending on what your biggest need is. And that 10th guy at times, may be tough to get him in there, but you want to have him ready. And to where he feels like, hey, in a moment's notice, I'm ready to go. So
when you this year you're able to go with a larger lineup, a bigger lineup, is that more accustomed to what you like to do offensively than where you were before, being able to have a little bigger lineup?
Yeah.
But athletic bigs.
Right. I think so. And I think, when you're trying to run the floor a little bit more, that helps defensively, having guys that are athletic that can maybe, play some multiple defenses in terms of if you want to switch at times, guys that can stay in front of the basketball, so that helps. But more importantly, just being able to get up and down the floor. I mean, I want to get up and down the floor more. And the guys know, we told them we'll play as fast as we can, as long as we can take care of the ball and take good shots. Once we get out of our lane with that, then we'll reel it in and play with more control. But you'd like to reward guys if they play good defense to be able to get out and run as a reward.
Game time is 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Georgia Southern is going to be at Halton Arena. It'll be the first matchup against the Georgia Southern Eagles since the Niners knocking them off a few years back in the NIT at Halton Arena. It's at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Tickets 704-687-4949. We'll take one more break here on the Alan Major Show from Wild Wing Cafe University. Back with more. Again, this is the Alan Major Show from IMG College. Welcome back to the Alan Major Show. Our final segment, 704-332-0173. Alongside Niner head coach Alan Major, I'm Matt Swarad with Lanny Ford from ESPN 730. The Niners won their first game on Friday of last week, 68-58 over Charleston Southern. And the Blue Cross Blue Shield North Carolina three-point shooting update from that ball game. Niners made 3, one each by Colby Lewis, Denzel Ingram, and one by E. Victor Nickerson in that 10-point win. Coach, going back to that game, one of the things you talked about in the post-game show was you like the fact you turned them over 17 times, but they did out-rebound us 48-44. They had 23 offensive rebounds, but we talked at the top of the show about what they did at Arizona this weekend.
Yeah.
They went into Tucson. They out-rebounded Arizona 34-31, but also turned it over. They turned it over 15 times. So the turnovers were key in both their losses.
Yeah, and that's an interesting stat in basketball because it's kind of a plus-minus thing. If you have a game where you have 15 turnovers, but yet you have 18 offensive rebounds, well, you're actually +3 because you got 3 possessions back by getting the second shot. So even though you lose a possession with turnovers, you can get possessions back with offensive rebounds. And that kind of helped us the other night. We had 11 turnovers, but I believe we were 18, I don't know, was it 18 offensive rebounds? Yeah, so we actually ended up +7. in terms of getting possessions and extra opportunities. So turnovers are an interesting thing because offensive rebounds are the thing that can balance out the scale a little bit. You don't like turnovers, but if you can get offensive rebounds, that can negate some turnovers that you have. So the thing that got us a little is they shot 34 threes, and they had a ton of threes come off in that free throw line area. When you go in there to block out
tough.
and then they
It
go
was
over
tough.
your head, they're tricky.
The ball just wasn't coming off right.
Yeah, so, but it was good for us to have that exposed right now because that's something that we got to continue to get our guards in there to elbow and dig those balls out.
Coach, we had a couple of minutes left of the show, but give us a quick scouting report on Georgia Southern, tomorrow's opponent.
Yeah, up-tempo, very athletic, especially from a pressure defense standpoint. They will full-court press, try to really get after you in the half court. I would say a little bit more of a drive-it, post-up team, but they will shoot some threes. Energetic head coach I've known for a while, Charlton Young. He used to be at Georgia Tech in the past and was at Chattanooga, so we've seen each other on the road a bunch of years in recruiting. But they're very feisty, and again, I would stress that people not pay too much attention to that Valpo score. Valpo's very good. They're talking about them being an NCAA tournament team, and for them to have a lopsided score like that, that's not the Georgia Southern that I know from last year and that I expect to see tomorrow night. So they're going to bring some juice, I'm sure.
All right, Coach, that's going to wrap it up for the show here tonight, but I want to remind our listeners and viewers here on TV 22 that there is no show next week, and wish everybody a very happy and healthy Thanksgiving holiday next week. Join us on Thanksgiving night, the late night game from Anchorage, Alaska. That'll be a lot of fun as they take on Texas State that night.
Hope the heat's on in the gym.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
I think we'll be okay.
19 degrees out there, I think they said so, and snow right now. But bring your beanies.
And again, congratulations to the soccer team and Coach Kevin Langan and his squad. They're going to play Thursday at home against UAB. Again, get your tickets $7 and $3 by going to charlotte49ers.com. And join us pregame show tomorrow, 8:30 game at 9 o'clock against Georgia Southern.
All right, that'll wrap it up here from Wild Wing Cafe University. Tune in again tomorrow night as we'll have airtime at 8:30, tip-off at 9 for the 49ers and Georgia Southern. Have a great night, everybody.